Hello everyone, the time has come to talk about the bunnies. And then I don't mean like the big bunnies, the sexy bunnies, the bunnies that we can play. No, I'm talking about the little ones that live on the moon. Those are the bunnies we're going to be talking about today. Yes, it is time to talk about the loporrits. In this sort of a deep dive video, we are going to talk about their origin, the real world lore, because there is actually real world lore behind these things. We are going to talk about where they originally came from in the Final Fantasy series, and then we're going to talk about their purpose in our world. Why were they made? Why were they living on the moon? What they were trying to do for us, and what they're trying to do now. This does include some overview, obviously, of the Endwalker story, and also pretty much spoiling the Beast Tribe story. You have now been warned. Spoilers ahead. Now let's get into the video. Now, bunnies on the moon might feel like a weird thing to do, but they're actually part of East Asian folklore, being known as the moon rabbit or the moon hare. That is because they believe the dark markings of the moon actually sort of shape out the shadow of a hare or a rabbit who seems to be grinding something with a mortar and a pestle. Now, the content of the mortar can differ depending on like which nation you get the idea from. So for example, if you would go with Chinese folklore, they believe the rabbit is a companion of the moon goddess, and it is constantly pounding the elixir of life for her. But both for Japan and Korea, the rabbit is pounding the ingredients for mochi, or some other type of rice cake, while the people of Vietnam go kind of with the same story as the Chinese one, where they believe is pounding the elixir of life, or immortality, but it has different gods associated with it. There are also some versions, for example, some Chinese version that go like it's pounding medicines, others say it's making moon cakes. But in general, wherever you go in East Asia, you can probably find the story about the moon rabbit or the moon hare. But this is not the first time we actually meet the loporrits in a Final Fantasy game, though they were at the time called hummingways. They originate from Final Fantasy IV and are a race of small humanoid rabbits that live on the moon. You can also find one of them all over the game named Naming Way, and he will offer you to change the name of your character and your companions. And while we haven't really seen any of the loporrits come into our current game until with Endwalker, there have been some hints of them before. First of all is with the Encyclopedia Eorzea, you could get a Naming Way minion, which is obviously a direct reference to Final Fantasy IV. Another direct reference is actually Hummingway. In the first cinematic, which is used to introduce the Guardians, you get the cinematic just as you're leaving your starting city, you will actually see Nero go up to some guards, and one of them is an elegant spy with the codename Hummingway, after the rabbits on the moon in Final Fantasy IV. Sadly, codename Hummingway doesn't really make it. But it's time to talk about the loporrits. Now, as we've established, the loporrits live on the moon in a place known as Beastway's Burrow. And these cute little critters only had one job: to save the people of Etheris. Now, I'm gonna cover the history of why the loporrits are up there quite briefly. I will later make a video talking about the Sundering and Zodiac and Hydaelyn and all of it. But what you need to know is, once upon a time, the final days came around. Not the ones we know from Endwalker, but the ones that came during the time of the Ascians. During these final days, the Convocation of 14 sacrificed half of the population of Etheris to summon in a being able to avert the coming calamity. This was Zodiac. And Zodiac did what they wanted, but stopping the end of the world wasn't enough. They wanted to get their old lives back, their friends, their families, so the Convocation became obsessive with the need of restoring things to how they used to be, how they should be. Which did include the plans of sacrificing many species and new races simply too late to be able to resurrect those who were sacrificed. During the time, not everyone agreed with this, and a small faction opposed this plan altogether and summoned in Hydaelyn, who sundered Zodiac along with Etheris into 14 fragments, 13 reflections and the source. But as they knew Zodiac was essential to be able to prevent the final days to return, They imprisoned him on the source's moon, called Mare Lamentorium, while fragments of him were sealed in other reflections. But they needed a second plan. What if the final days came again and Zodiac could not stop it? What if it was the end of Etheris, the destruction of the source? Well, that's where the loporrits come in. Hydaelyn created the loporrits to serve as guides and stewards for the people of Etheris, in case the final days ever would happen again, or if the seal broke and Zodiac would become free. The moon became an ark, and the loporrits were tasked with making this ark a comfortable home for the people of Etheris. So, if the worst came to worst, the people could evacuate Etheris and find another home. So the tiny bunnies got to work. Obviously, they only had information about the old people that came before the final days, which were noticeably taller than our current counterpart. So they started making gigantic structures on the moon to house everybody. They had this one focus, each one taking on a role and a name based on the role. So, for example, cooking way, cooks. Guiding way, guides. If we have gardening way, probably gardens. And when they were not working, they would fall asleep in specific stasis to wait the end times, waiting the time that the people of Etheris would need help. But there were some who would stay awake to receive information, to keep track on things, and that was really good because eventually we would have the Charlayan studying the ethereal seas, and they managed to get in contact with Hydaelyn. And she told them about the moon, she told them about the loporrits and their mission. And the Forum of Charlayan changed their mission from that day. Their role was now to make sure humanity would survive, with them of course taking priority. This meant they started isolating themselves. They would not take part in conflict, but they would also start having regular communications with the loporrit, informing them of what had changed over the thousands of years since the loporrits got their original directive. So the loporrits got to know about the world, food, clothing, housing, and all other things necessary to sustain life. They were also getting this information from Charlayan, which is known for Archon bread, which is a horribly tasting bread, but is full of nutrition. So they were probably not getting the guides on how to let us live in the lap of luxury, that's for sure. But the loporrits took all the books, the pictures, the information they got, and started fitting Beastway Burrow to match our needs. And this they worked on until the time came that we went to the moon and killed Zodiac. And with that, ending Zodiac's protection over Etheris. And such, the evacuation plan has to be put into place. Now this is where we end up accidentally visiting Beastway Burrow, meeting all the little bunnies, and then being alarmingly confused over our short stature. First they believe we are children, and are then kind of horrified to learn we are not children, as they realize they will have to make so many changes to everything to make it fit us, because we are way shorter than they thought. But they remain absolutely just enthusiastic and so eager to help. Their whole life mission has been to meet us, to help us, and to bring us to safety. And so started our time interacting with the loporrits. The loporrits learned from Urian J and others. Some of them came down to Etheris to examine the world, all in the goal of understanding us better. And in the end, the world was saved. We didn't need to go. There was no ark needed. And suddenly, an entire race of beings made with the sole purpose of guiding us away from our planet had nothing to do. Their purpose was gone. And while the loporrits were obviously thrilled that the world was saved, they find Etheris to be beautiful, they love getting to see it, and they want us to be happy. There was some disappointment, understandably. Now we do get to meet a lot of fun little loporrits along the way. Living Way is the leader of the loporrits, making sure everything is as it should be. We have Cooking Way, who is learning to cook more dishes than just carrots, because that was the original idea, and I think many of us were horrified by the thought of having to eat nothing but carrots for the rest of our life. We have Pudding Way, who is on the journey to find pudding, because Urianger told him about pudding, and that is what he does now. We have Dreaming Way, who loves dancing and making music, and we have many more who make such beautiful things, but amongst them are also those who now have nothing, becoming listless and sad. Their whole purpose in life is gone. And that is how we end up at the Beast Tribe quests. It all starts in Sierra Leone. As we're just wandering about, we come across Dreaming Way down here on Etheris. But he's not here just to travel about and look at things. No, he is actually here to look for us. He needs our help as the loporrits up on the moon are just being very un-loporrit-like. They've become listless and sad and seeming unable to recover from the sudden change of plan. Of course, after all they've done for us, we agree to head up to the moon to help our bunny friends. And as we speak to the loporrits, we find that, well, what the Dreaming Way said is true. They are sad, they are depressed, they have no purpose. And now you would think maybe there should have been some plan in place in case this happened. Heidelin did not plan for things not ending and us needing the ark, so now the loporrits are just in kind of a bad place. So we settle down with Dreaming Way, wondering how can we fix them. And well, Dreaming Way's idea is quite genius. He found a dream, something that he likes to do. He likes to make music. And perhaps what the other loporrits need is a dream of their own. They need a new purpose, a new thing they like to do. So what's done is we speak to Living Way, and with a rather easily obtained permission, we manage to get a closet, which is just the biggest closet I have ever seen, and we change it into a little area known as Hopper's Hold, a home of the dream of the loporrits, a place where any loporrits can come in and find a dream of their own, though at the start there's only music. But if you like music and dancing, then you are covered. Now thankfully we are actually not alone with Dreaming Way in this endeavor. Managing Way and Coining Way actually join us. Now Managing Way is very good at managing things and is excited to put together spreadsheets and plans and deadlines, and which is just perfect. He already found his dream, and Coining Way wants to start a store where the currency seems to be carrots. And the three of them come together to do this project of creating dream plays for the loporrits, including actually having costumes, which is just, oh, so precious. But music isn't gonna apply to everyone. So the next thing is to find another dream for the loporrits to enjoy. Now, of course, being a Beast Tribe, between every quest we had to do a variety of small little daily quests. And when it comes to figuring out which area we want to make next, Dreaming Way brings up the loporrit known as Repairing Way, believing Repairing Way will be able to bring something interesting to our workshop. But when we go speak to her, well, she is kind of busy. She is responsible for keeping the moon in shape, but she can tell us about another mechanic that might enjoy it. So we find the loporrit named Inventing Way, and Inventing Way loves to create a variety of robots, including the robots that are kind of going around Beastway Burrow trying to murder us. He really needs to look into that. But he's happy to come up to the workshop to create a variety of amazing machines, both creating new machines of his own and also guiding others in how to make them. And this is the time where we also start noticing a loporrit that seems a little bit down and different. This ashen-haired loporrit watches from a distance, looking really worse for wear. Their outfit is tattered, their clothes are dirty, and they seem to have only one wish, and that is to go back into stasis forever. But we are determined to make a dream for all loporrits, and that includes that one. Now that we have music and machines, the next is to bring those in who like something tasty. And for that we actually go and speak to Cooking Way. Now Cooking Way used to only want to cook with carrots, because well, he didn't know anything else. But since the world has been saved, he has spent some time in Sierra Leone, thankfully at like the actual good cooking place in Sierra Leone, working on learning a variety of different methods to cook. And he's thrilled to come back with us up to the moon to teach his fellow loporrits how to cook different things. Of course, this is the first time the loporrits put up anything resembling of a restaurant or a cafe, So we go to the last stand to ask Thickon for advice on like how to serve proper cuisine like this. And thankfully, he actually gives us a list about things we are gonna need, including like plate and cutlery and everything. And so Cooking Way goes up to the moon and sets up the cooking station, which looks amazing and has chairs that actually should fit my Lalafell so nicely, and I can't sit on them, and it makes me really mad. But while we don't fit in the seat, or aren't allowed to sit properly in the seat, at least we have a cooking station. And yet again, we can observe the ashen-haired loporrit back there watching us, and seeming to absolutely hate everything we have. Now, Dreaming Way has managed to notice this ashen-haired loporrit, and is determined to find a dream for every way out there, including that one. And now with music, cooking, and robotics, most loporrits seem to have found a dream of their own. But there is a distinct group of loporrits that has not. So we take some time to actually look at them with Dreaming Way and notice there is one thing they have in common. Their role was to interact with the people of Etheris when they would arrive to the moon. And most of them haven't even met anyone from Etheris. During this pondering, we also again meet the ashen-haired loporrit, and we learn about his wish to just get to sleep. Now he does mention Living Way, so we go and speak to her, and she tells us who this is. This is Counseling Way, a loporrit that was more dedicated than any other loporrit out there. Their role was to help the people of Etheris handle the tragic loss of their planet, face the trauma and difficulty. And now, when they have no chance of ever doing that, they've become, well, severely depressed. And out of all of the loporrits that were meant to interact with the people of Etheris in this capacity, Counseling Way was the most dedicated one, and seems to be taking the loss the hardest. Now, thankfully, when speaking to the team, there is an idea that comes up. All of these loporrits were meant to work together with the people of Etheris. They were meant to do something socially in a group, and they were all meant to work with emotions. And now they need a way to express their own emotions. So what about art? The next station set up is an art station, allowing for sculptures and, most impressively, a large mural. And we head out to gather up these loporrits, who have really hard time saying no to us, as we are actually from Etheris, and all they want is just to have, well, talk to us. So we invite them to come paint with us, make a mural. And they do, making a stunning, slightly chaotic, but nonetheless an amazing looking mural. Finding a way to get their emotions out and find some joy again. But even then, Counseling Way is not really interested. So now, desperate times call for desperate measures. We have a bunch of loporrits which are happy. Pretty much all the loporrits are happy, except our ashen-haired friend, even though he maybe does not consider us his friend at the moment. We need to find a way to bring his dream to him. And well, all he wants, his dream, is to speak to the people of Etheris. So what if we could find a way to bring his voice down to them? And that is where we introduce the magic of radio to the loporrits. Now, we've never made a radio station before, or the things required to have a radio station, or send out the signal, but we do manage to build it, and we do manage to convince Counseling Way to come try it out. They aren't very keen at first, but they can't really resist when we tell them they can finally speak to the people of Etheris. And so Counseling Way does just that. And I think this is the time where we get the closest to fulfilling some loporrit's original purpose, because Counseling Way wants to guide, support, and help humans. All they want to do is speak to them and give them comfort and support. And while Counseling Way is on the moon and the people of Etheris are down on Etheris, they can still talk to them and bring them comfort. And so Counseling Way is the one who speaks first on the radio, transmitting a message of newfound hope to the people across Etheris, and making me cry because that scene was beautiful, and I just felt so sorry and happy for Counseling Way at the same time. And finally, we reach our last mission for the loporrits. As we max out their reputation, we head up to check out the loporrits, seeing how they're doing. We meet with Dreaming Way, who actually has a stack of letters. It seems the broadcast has actually been received down on Etheris, and the people there are all trying to obtain a radio, So now the loporrits are even planning to start making radios to ship down to the planet so everybody can have a radio to hear them, which I think is just, oh, it's adorable. But we get to have the joy of actually delivering the letters. And all these letters are actually for some of the loporrits here in Hopping Hold. Our first letter is actually for Coiningway. It is from an Australian economist that have taken interest in his rather unique market, and they're actually inviting Coiningway to file in an earnings report, and this loporrit is so happy. I have never seen anybody be so happy about an earnings report, but it's great. Next is for Inventingway, whose passion has actually resonated with the people of Etheris who like fixing things, restoring things, and this one is actually from somebody in Garlean. It seems to be from a young person, and they mention things like restoration. And I am pretty sure we are gonna see a Garlean restoration coming up sometime soon, which I am very excited for because that is just something I want. I wanna fix Garlemald. Our next letter is for Cookingway, and he's concerned that, well, he's still using mostly carrots and is mostly serving, well, loporrits. Thankful for him, the letter is actually from Dickon at the last stand, who is sending him recipes and is asking him to send some back. The two will now be sharing recipes back and forth, bringing probably some new interesting carrot-based recipes to Etheris, and some non-carrot-based recipes to the moon, which I think is going to be good for everyone. And then the final two letters are for Counselingway. He finds their words of gratitude and admiration, and is deeply moved that the people actually hear them, promising to continue on with the radio to keep helping the people of Etheris, just like they always dreamed to do. And now, with their new role, they don't feel like Counselingway anymore. No, they have taken up the new name of Talkingway because he wants to have a lot of friendly conversations with people. Now, I'm a little bit sad to see him lose the name Counselingway because I think he would have been a great, radio counselor, and he would be able to send in letters to ask advice, and he would counsel because that is what he wanted to do. But Talkingway is the new name, and Talkingway wants to speak to the people of Etheris. And having delivered all the letters, we head back to Dreamingway. All the loporrits have found their dream. Dreamingway is planning to make some new music. We have the radio up and going. New radios will be made to be sent down to Etheris. And the bunnies that were made with the sole purpose of living for us now are learning to live for themselves. And I think that is a really good story. I also just find this beast tribe to be absolutely precious, and the visuals of it so cute. Now, of course, like with every beast tribe, we do get some lovely rewards. From this one, we can get a Dreamwalker orchestration role, which is a Final Fantasy XIV music, but we can also get the Battle 1 music from Final Fantasy IV, and that is some good music. There is one housing item, which is a rainbow hopping rug, which I think is going to show up at quite a few dance clubs from now on. There is a new minion named Findingway, which you can take with you wherever you want to go. There is a new mount in the Moon Hopper, which looks great no matter if you're riding around or flying, and it has a fun little emote. There are new frames for your portraits, and what I think most people are probably going to be very excited about, there are new vendor permits for your house. So now you can get a loporrit mender, a junkmonger, a material supplier, and a basic housing merchant, which is going to be Servingway. And when you place them down, you have two visual options. You can either have the classic loporrit outfit, or you can get the Hopper's Hold outfit where they're wearing their yellow t-shirt. And that's the story of the loporrit beast tribe. And honestly, of the beast tribes in Endwalker, this one is my favorite. It's just such a nice, wholesome story. It's in a very different location. It felt really rewarding as I was building it up, and I'm always happy to get new housing vendors. And overall, I just thought all the rewards were quite nice. How do you feel it compares to other beast tribes? Do you like the rewards? Would you like to see more of it? And do you think we're gonna go restoring Garlemald? Tell me all about your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want to make sure to see all my future videos, make sure to subscribe and do all the good YouTube stuff. And if you want to be able to talk to me about lore or other people who just adore Final Fantasy lore, join the Discord in the description. It is always a fun place to be, to share memes, talk about lore, talk about upcoming things in the game. or just share screenshots of a character. I'm always happy to see some good clams out there. But for now, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a lovely day and that I will see you next time.